Hey everyone, welcome, welcome.
Welcome.
Let us know in the chat box that you can hear us okay. We will get started soon, but first we want to hear from you. Make sure to type your name, where you are coming from, tuning in from in the chat box. And also let us know that you can hear us so we're not just kind of like blabbering over here and you're wondering what the heck these two ladies are saying. Oh, hey, Holly.
Hi, Holly.
Awesome. Thanks for letting us know you can hear us.
Glad that you're here.
Beautiful. I see we've got lots of people coming into the room. Holly in Oakland. And you're at work. Awesome. Way to tune into your sensuality while doing something like work.
They go hand in hand.
All right. So we'll just give people just a minute or so to join, and when you feel inspired, make sure to show up and be seen and participate in the chat box. Mm-hmm. We really want this to do to really be an interactive conversation.
Absolutely.
Lucia and I are first and foremost here for you, given this topic that we are diving into, which is surviving holiday heartbreak. If you aren't familiar with who I am, I'm Jess Tomlinson, and I help recently heartbroken women. And that is the whole reason that I was inspired to do this webinar series, bring together 15 beautiful, amazing,
gorgeous, amazing people,
heart-centered experts who also care deeply about helping women through the heartbreak. And if you are heartbroken right now, you know that this is the worst time of year to be heartbroken. A holiday heartbreak freaking sucks. And I know this firsthand because I was there back in 2009 when my boyfriend at the time didn't show up for Christmas. So yeah, so that was the whole inspiration behind this, is to provide you with support. And I'm so happy to have Lucia here today.
Grateful to be here.
We're all cozied up in her like
it's so fun,
beautiful little like studio art shed.
It's like this. We call it the carriage shed, and it's all like redwood and there's a heater and rug and cozy couch. Yeah,
it's
fun. It's fun to be in here.
Hey Marina, nice to have you. Marina in Oakland. Oh, Maria.
Oh, hi Maria. Good to see you.
All right, so I'm just gonna check. So if you haven't chimed in, be sure to do so. Like I said, we really want this to be interactive.
Absolutely.
And today, what we are going to be diving into is the survival secret #1. So there's a series of webinars that I'm hosting, interviewing amazing people like Lucia to support you through your holiday heartbreak. And today is survival secret #1. So thank you for showing up first and foremost, and for being here with us as we dive into how to awaken your sensuality. Lucia is the first and foremost person that I thought of when I was putting together this project, not only because you are just an amazing supporter of women, but because you've been holding my heart since I moved here to Santa Cruz. Many of you know I made a big transition from my home in Las Vegas of 10 years to moving here to Santa Cruz, and Lucia is just that person to guide women to a place where they can really connect first and foremost to themselves and experience this deep sensuality by connecting to their senses and really just being in this beautiful world in a way that no other woman can.
I am so humbled that to be in that person for you here. I'm grateful that I've been able to support you in that way, and you add so much to my life. So it's reciprocal. So I want to make sure to let people know that you can give it.
So we want to shine that love on you today, and to really you. I will say make sure you stay on this entire time, because Lucia has a beautiful gift that she would like to offer you, and it's well worth the wait. I actually was with her as she was like birthing this beautiful gift and getting so excited, and I was getting excited. So make sure you stay on the whole time. We will go for a full hour. So let's start just with a little prayer to ground us in, and then I will dive a little bit deeper into the wisdom of Lucia.
Sounds good to me.
So wherever you are, just close your eyes, and if you feel inspired, put your hand on your heart. And just feel that precious organ inside of your body that might be feeling a little pain right now. Heartbreak is not easy. Dear Goddess, God, all of our angels and guides, anyone watching over us, we ask that you grant us healing today and through this holiday season and beyond into 2017. We ask that you show us our path to healing. And when we forget our way, that you remind us that healing is at our beautiful fingertips. It lives inside us. It's all around us. And together, we are not alone. And so it is.
So it is.
Hello, Yara. Good to see you.
Yara.
Thank you for joining.
Yay.
All right. So let's get into this juicy topic.
Yeah.
Survival secret to help you through heartbreak. Number 1, awaken your sensuality. So first, is there anything that you would like to say about you and the work you do, Lucia? I tend to just give like the non-bio version and just speak from my heart. So is there anything you'd like people to know about you?
I'm Lucia Paxton, and I am the co-founder of Luscious L.O.V.E, along with my best friend and husband of 20 years, Trevor. And I love working with women one-on-one and in groups. And this is really just a testament of my life, past 15 plus years of sensual exploration and living the life of love and pleasure. So I'm grateful that I'm in a place where I can share my gift and knowledge of this work of communication and relationships and female orgasm. And it's wonderful. It's a wonderful thing to be able to do. I'm grateful for it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks.
So I'm feeling like, if you've never tuned into one of my webinars, one of the things I was telling Lucia about last night as we were setting intentions is that I really like to talk about the things that many women don't talk about or that are kind of skirted under the surface. And one of those things that came up for me is that you might be curious why the first survival secret to provide you healing to get through your heartbreak is to awaken your sensuality. You might think, my God, that's the last thing that I want to be doing, right? Like when you're heartbroken, like it's just, that could feel maybe icky. And so I would love for you to share, Lucia, just a little bit about why is this secret to really getting you through heartbreak, connecting with your sensuality so important? Why?
That's such a beautiful question. Well, you know, when we are heartbroken on any level, whether it's a relationship or death or little heartbreaks that we have all the time, there's a lot of sadness and grief and pain that goes through our bodies. And so on a chemical level, the chemistry level, it really, the happiness goes away, right? The happiness is taken over by, you know, grief and sadness. So that's runs through our nervous system, or you know, our senses. So I just want to like redefine sensuality and to really be clear about it.
That was going to be my next question.
You know, sensuality really touches all parts of our lives, and it's not limited to the bedroom. So when people talk about their sensuality, it is not necessarily limited to sex and fucking and all that kind of stuff. So sensuality is how we experience our universe through our senses, through our sight, through our taste, touch, hearing, and, you know, smell. So when we are sad and grief-stricken, there's a lot of energy going on in our body. And oftentimes what happens when we're heartbroken, we want to cry and hide under the covers, and there's a lot of energy going on. So we don't think to necessarily say, well, I'm gonna just feel this.
Yeah.
So our sensuality, keeping that connection going, is really what allows us to experience self-love.
Yeah.
And that really is the key to moving through, is experiencing self-love. And so the importance of sensuality and keeping those connections open is crucial during this time. And it's ultimately, it's a choice.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah. This is so important, you guys. Like I'm remembering, so I've got two things I'm remembering when I had my big holiday heartbreak and I was back in the back room and I didn't come out for 3 days. It was so unlike me and my heart was so broken. And I remember my mom bringing me a tiny little pumpkin spice latte because she knows how much I love those. And I just wasn't eating. And I remember when she like brought it to me and I couldn't really drink it. And I almost felt like guilty for like being like, oh, it does smell good though.
Right.
Like,
Wow,
oh,
it feels so good.
oh,
Right.
like and so I'd love for you to speak on this. And I'm experiencing this right now too. I did a Facebook Live last night talking about how I'm going through my own heartbreak, not romantic, but my childhood best friend might not live for that much longer. And so right now I'm deep in this grief of the possibility of a massive heartbreak. And so same thing, like last night, my roommate had made mulled wine and brought me some. And I like almost felt like guilty for being in this place of pleasure.
Right.
Because I'm supposed to be sad. So can you speak to that point about this whole like, dancing between the do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
So, okay. Well, the first thing I want to say about that is, the sensation that you're feeling through your body is just that sensation. And our brains will tell us whether or not it's good or bad, right? We'll make that choice somehow. It's pressure, but because of our conditioning, we're told this is good, this is bad, this is sad, this is happy. So I have a tool that I use to actually go, okay,
Awesome.
what is this sensation? And I stop, I take a breath, and I call it good. No matter what, if you're going to make a judgment on the sensation that you're feeling, call it good.
Yeah.
Because when you call something good, whatever it is, you don't, whatever it is, it just is so easy, much easier to get to better.
Yeah.
So if you're starting from a place already where it's good, then, you're allowing yourself the permission to like experience it pleasurably. And so we don't, cutting ourselves off to pleasure is something I think women are accustomed to. We are so resistant to our own pleasure as women for many reasons, because of what society says, but because of religious reasons. And there's all these factors to it, and it really keeps us in a place of feeling victimized all the time.
Yeah.
And it's as simple as making a different choice. And I find that just calling it something good, the situation good, allows us to say yes to opening up, and then take it one step at a time. Like, what can you feel out of, when you got that glass of wine? It's like that. What did it feel like in your body? Like, what did it feel like to taste that wine?
And so good.
Right?
It was like warm, and it was providing something that I also wasn't feeling like I could provide myself at the time. So like that little luxury of, oh wow, this is like one of those experiences.
Right. It is. It's all experience, and life is it is an experience.
Yeah.
And so I think, when we create like a pleasure vocabulary around like how to describe what we're feeling rather than good or bad or happy, sad, and really come from a place of describing what our body's actually feeling.
That is so good. So it's like in that moment. So it sounds like first and foremost, not judging where you're at.
Right.
And then secondly, just naming it and not saying, and this is what's coming up for me. I had a client who was going through a divorce after a 16-year marriage. And she would say, I'm having a great day. And I would say, that's awesome. And it's okay no matter what you're feeling. Because the next call she might come to and say, I'm having a horrible day. And I was like, what if it wasn't good or bad? What if you weren't like grasping for this place where it was like better? Yeah. So I love this.
It's like I often ask my my women or clients that I work with to use words that describe exactly what they are feeling in the moment. Like, what are you seeing? What are you tasting?
Yeah.
It's bitter. I mean, using those descriptive words rather than naming it as, basically using our emotions to judge something is crucial. And it really shifts the direction that you want to go in.
Yeah.
So we might be feeling heartbreak, and that is bringing up that, our heart racing a little bit through sensation is still grand. And it's so interesting because when we're feeling excited, our heart is also racing, and we're also feeling maybe a little bit nervous and excited. But we, depending on which way, what the situation is, we judge it. Yeah. And then suddenly that same sensation becomes painful rather than pleasurable.
Right.
And so it's really just how we interpret the pressure in our bodies.
Yeah. I love Holly saying, I love this idea that we can transform these sensations from negative ones into pleasure-filled sensations. Like how when crying feels so damn good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would even say, Holly, like not even calling them negative ones. Like, what if they just are? But I totally feel you as well, that crying is like the cathartic.
Crying is so this is how I interpret crying, because it's such a beautiful way to release a lot of the sensation in your body. So, as women, we build energy in our body, our tumescence, and we grow, and it builds and builds, and it sustains us. And it's that same energy that we feel when we're turned on, when we're angry, when we're sad. Those levels of whatever it is,
it's like intensity.
Right? It's all pressure. It's all pressure in our body. So if we had like somebody blew us up one more time, we're gonna pop. So we can use it, and we get to choose how we use it. Sometimes it's like our automatic response. Our body responds when we're full with that like immense sensation in our body.
Yeah.
And we don't do anything with it. Our body will cry.
Yeah.
Our body will bump into stuff. Our body will drop stuff. We automatically, the universe helps us to conspire to release some of this energy. So
beautiful.
Use it for fun instead. Like you're feeling that heartbreak, own it. Don't put it aside. Own it. And
this is a good point. And so many times we're like, oh no, I'm fine. Like, what if we actually just said, you know what? I am heartbroken. I actually had to do that with all of the experts that are part of this project with me, because I thought really seriously about canceling it. And I just owned it. And I said, you know what, you guys, I'm continuing with this, but I'm not fine.
I'm so glad that you did too. I mean, what a beautiful way to acknowledge where you're at and move through it by putting your attention on other people and loving them.
And you know what happened when I did that? I actually cried a bunch after I did that. And it helped me just continue to move through this heartbreak about my best friend right now. So wherever you're at in your heartbreak, just encouraging you to really, like Lucia is saying, own it.
Yeah.
And also, you guys, like Holly, to just chime in. We want to know your questions. Again, we want this to be really interactive during this time together. Lucia and I are both very communal people. We love to be like in community and groups. And so please participate, ask questions. We're here for you. And no question is stupid.
We'll answer to the best of what our hearts, really, this is all from the heart. What's coming up is just our experiences through life and how we work with the women that
you're so intuitive, because I just have to say, she keeps like going into like my next question. You said your experiences in life. So what was my next thought that I wanted to explore with you is like, can you share a time in your life that you remember when you were feeling heartbreak and pleasure and sensuality and connecting to this part of yourself actually helped you through?
Oh, that's such a great question. Well, there's a lot of times where I've had heartbreak. I think some of the biggest heartbreaks, I'm a mom, and we have one daughter, and I think two of the biggest heartbreaks were having had miscarriages. After my daughter had been born, I had two, and I remember feeling the first time I had a miscarriage, I didn't have a lot of the tools that I did the second time. But the first time, I mean, I was distraught. I was really distraught, and but I do remember the second time I had a miscarriage. It was really interesting. My daughter was young, and she was 6 or 7, and she was going to Sutter Creek for Sutter's Fort. I remember she had to go. It was like we were homeschooling, and I had a miscarriage the night before we were supposed to go.
And Sutter's Creek is what?
Sutter's Fort was like a place where settlers came during the winter from like the east. They traveled. They ended up in Sutter's Fort.
So it was like a field trip.
It was a field trip. It was an overnight field trip for for homeschoolers. And we were all dressed up in like these colonial costumes, and I had my daughter, and I was like, I can't not miss this trip. And I reached out. I called my mother-in-law who lived by. She came and met me there, and I spent the whole day spinning yarn.
Wow.
And like feeling and crying and owning and like feeling the sensation in my body. And I had just lost my pregnancy, but I had the tools in myself to communicate that I wanted support.
Yeah.
That I wanted to be held in love. And I had a community of women that day, even just surrounding me through the day, bringing me tea and food. And the heartbreak was like, it was there, but out of it came such beauty. And I remember weaving this yarn. And many years later, I had this ball of yarn, and my friend Meg, who knit, said, I'm going to knit you a shawl. Do you want anything? It's called a shelter. So like a very ceremonial shawl. And I said, yes, I would love that. I said, could you put this yarn in there?
Yeah.
And so I felt this full circle of like the sensation. So every time I wear that shawl, I can go back to that place that, yes, I was experiencing deep grief, but I was like a beautiful place of surrendering to the sensation that I was feeling in my body, because it was like, I also felt deep love, so much love for myself, knowing that I wanted my family to grow. So that was definitely one instance where I just allowed my senses to kind of take over, and all of them, like listening to the music that was being played, watching children run around, having my daughter come and kiss me through the day and to hold me, and so it was a very sensual experience, actually.
Wow, thank you for sharing that. That's beautiful. I can just feel that. So many times we get away from this lineage as women that like we are creators, not just, physically with a baby, but and this is what I love about your story, right? Because it was the miscarriage, that physical creation of the baby in your body, but you had used your hands to also create something.
Absolutely.
And so I would love to hear from those of you who have maybe experienced some sort of heartbreak, or maybe you're in it right now, and just one small pleasurable thing that, like, when you think of it, it just makes you smile. Like for me, it's always warm beverages, like, the mulled wine that my roommate made last night, and then like the coffee that my mom had brought me. Like there's just something about that for me because I love like food and warmth and tasting things. So what is it for you that brings a smile to your face that can help you through this tough time, whether you're in it right now or you've been in it before? I'm curious. Love to hear.
Yeah, I'd love to hear too.
Yeah. So I'm just going to check and see.
Speaking of warm, I'm just going to take a sip of my coffee.
For sure. And as you guys chime in, again, just any questions you have, we can talk all day here, but we're here for you. So please take advantage of us.
Absolutely.
We are very passionate about this.
I know. As I was just thinking, Jessica, it's like this moment of like, well, it's easy enough to say, well, surrender to self-love, right?
Mm-hmm.
But how do you do that? Like, how do you actually do that? How do you physically do that?
Yes.
What do you do?
Oh, I love that you're like turning this around.
I know.
Yeah. So, well, Chani says being held. Hi, Chani.
Aww.
Yes. Oh, God, physical touch.
Yeah.
Oh,
absolutely.
So the surrender, so Lucia is actually naming her gift, which we are going to provide you with a link so you can go and get it. But the title of her gift is Surrender to Self-Love. So make sure that you stay on, and we'll provide you with that link so you can go and get her tips of how to do that. Holy cow. This is a huge one for me because I started out as a self-care coach because I am very good at giving to everybody else.
Right.
And I used to not be so good at giving to myself. And the surrender to self-love, my first step that I always take and that I always tell my clients to take is to give yourself permission to just fulfill your own desires.
Beautiful.
No matter what. You know, and to remind yourself the second piece of that, because we can go so much into the like, you know, I feel so guilty, or I'm taking away from what other people need, because as women we're so, or most of us, you know, not all of us, but most of us have this tendency to want to be nurturing.
Yeah.
So for me, this permission piece has been huge. And then reminding myself that when my desires are fulfilled, when my self-love cup is filled up, it actually benefits not only me, but those around me and the world.
I agree.
The world. Like really just going to that place.
When you fill up on that, and you know, your divine birthright, really, when you fill up with that, it is weaving a web of pleasure throughout your community, throughout your families, throughout, like you said, throughout the world. I really do believe that when we come into that, you know, place of loving ourselves so deeply that we are able to give graciously, you know, give your surplus.
Holly says, oh, Chani, love you both. Love you too. Holly says, remembering a time when I fought with a lover, but in the middle of a fighting night, I started breathing in this white light and it filled me. And I knew from that day on, I would never abandon myself ever again. I felt filled with unconditional self-love that has never left. The next morning, I felt calm and okay with whatever was going to happen. Wow. Beautiful, Holly. Beautiful. I'd love to hear kind of like you mentioned abandoning your self-love or abandoning yourself. I'm curious, you know, what did that look like for you? I think a lot of people might be able to resonate with this. I know for me, it's been abandoning, it's been disowning these different archetypes within myself, which is what I teach. So my archetypes are the playful child, the radiant rebel, and the sexy feminine. And what I would do is I would kind of like go towards the one that I felt like my partner wanted most. And so that was my sense of abandoning myself in relationships. I'm curious what yours was, Holly. Chani says, love you both. Mwah, mwah. We love you. And Chani, oh, thanks for acknowledging Holly, Chani. I want to go back to this piece about community.
Yeah, sure.
And how community can support us. Because you mentioned, you know, after a miscarriage, calling in these women to support you. This is a huge wound for us as women. A huge wound. I can't tell you, nearly every one of my clients is wounded in this way. And, you know I have my little woundings about women, but not in the way that I've experienced other women have, and it hurts my heart. So how do you see, what would be a first step for women to ask for that support when it comes to embracing their sensuality, getting through heartbreak?
The first step in asking for that support, well, you have to, I mean, it always starts with self, right? Acknowledging that that even though you're, I mean, because we feel embarrassment sometimes, right? I think that's what holds us back from asking. Like, I'm embarrassed because
I'm too needy.
Right, I'm too needy.
That's one of my things.
I've done something so embarrassing. Like in heartbreak, you can do crazy shit. crazy shit happens, like you threw shit, or yeah, who knows what happens. I mean, there's extremes, or you maybe cried all night and your eyes are puffy and you don't want to go to work, or I don't know. It's like it manifests in different ways because there's so much energy. So the first thing is to just acknowledge that if you're feeling it, somebody else has probably felt it too.
Oh my God, yeah.
And so, even if it's just that
guarantee,
guarantee,
not probably,
no.
guarantee.
If you felt the heartbreak and the rawness of what it feels like to be sad and be in grief and pain, then you've also felt pleasure too. So you felt both extremes.
Yeah.
So somewhere in there, it's like calling out to community, and it's not like a trend. It's just how it should be. It really is a natural instinct is to be in sisterhood.
Yeah.
And so community doesn't even have to be women. And I just want to put that out there. It can definitely be men. It's like, men are just as capable of anything to hold us in that space as well. So I don't want to limit this to just the women. Oftentimes you just want, that energy, the opposite energy, that masculine energy to hold us in our softness and beauty without judgment, of course. It's like, so part of that is like, surrounding yourself with people that take you higher. So that's where I go. Like, I definitely have a community of women that, I love being around women. And I also love, the men that uplift us to be exactly in that space. I mean, I don't have to change anything about myself. I can just be. So if you're, we don't really want advice when we're in that spot of vulnerability. We just want to be held. That's how I am, at least. I want to be held. And like, I don't, but here's the other part. There's the flip side of that. And I'm sure you've experienced it. I know I have, where the anger part, where you're like, blah, 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 I call it pecking, hen pecking. When you surround yourself with a community of women where you hen peck and you just get angry about it all. And then you start getting reality on your bullshit. So you don't want necessarily to go through that. So you want to surround yourself, reach out for like coffee, reach out, go do something that supports you going higher. So that's something I would suggest doing.
These are important points, because what I'm hearing is like being able to communicate that you just want somebody to be there for you and to not share their advice. Number one, that's huge.
It's huge.
And you guys, people are not skilled in that. Even like, it's our natural tendency to want to like fix and help people. So communicating that, and then surrounding yourself with people that will take you higher. On that point though, I just want to be clear that for me, what has actually helped has been people who encourage my breakdown.
Absolutely.
Because here's the thing, and this is where my clients sometimes hate me, because I want to keep them, I want to take them to the depths of their pain so that they can feel it so much and give themselves permission to just actually get that anger out, because we're taught not to get angry. At least I was, right? Some people, it all depends on your childhood, right? But there's a lot of this, like, be nice, don't get angry, like, let's keep it all inside. And then, like, from that breakdown, just having people lift you up so that you don't stay there.
Absolutely. I mean, you want somebody to be able to like be witness to all parts of what you're going through. And always like, the anger and breakdown and height, it's just how we interpret it. The sensation, it's all pressure. That's how I look at it. So if they're willing to just go along on the ride with you, that's a good friend. And they're willing to like tell you the truth, even in your, even in that low depths. You want somebody to like kind of like commiserate with you sometimes, but if they're willing to tell you the truth and go, go ahead and just feel where you're at right now. And then you can move through it,
It's so
you
big.
don't want to stay in the shit. I always say there's a shit level. It's like right below like your nose.
Ew.
All the time.
Talk about the senses.
Anytime, really.
It's true.
All the time. It's like everywhere you look, especially in our culture right now, you're always faced with an opportunity to like kind of dip down into the shit, your own personal shit or whatever it is. And you can like suffocate in it.
Yeah.
So it's like don't stay there too long.
Yeah.
It's like, I know I am, boy, man, I am queen of sucking in shit sometimes. Snootfuls.
Oh my God. I have a story, and then I want to make sure that we read
Absolutely.
Marina and Holly's comments.
Yeah.
So speaking of this, like, staying in the shit, my dear friend, Tanya Lynn, I think, do you know Tanya?
I don't know if I know.
Okay. Tanya has Sistership Circle.
Okay.
She's phenomenal. I started a circle long, long ago, way back in Vegas, that eventually became my own women's group for the past 4 years. But Tanya's actually just at my house, so she's very present in my mind. It was her bachelorette party, and I had just been broken up with. This is my most recent ex-boyfriend about a year and a half ago. And I had told myself this story that because it was her bachelorette party, I needed to just keep it all in.
Right.
And I was grieving like massively. It had just, the breakup had just happened. This is somebody that I thought I was going to be moving to the Bay Area for. I quit my job. It was a big deal. And
you go all out.
I do go all out.
I like that too. No half-assing it.
No half-assing it for Jess. Oh, geez. Which creates that intensity, right?
Right.
So here I was, like holding myself back, doing everything that I knew that I tell my clients not to do after heartbreak, and telling myself, oh, it's okay. Like, I can deal with it later. And it came to after the festivities were done, and I was staying at her house, and we were sitting there with our other friend, and she asked a question of me, and I was like snippy. And I'm not a snippy person, okay? So Tanya knew immediately. She was like, what's going on, Jess? And these are the type of friends I have. And I was just like, all right, here's my time to tell the truth. And I was like, I'm just feeling really resentful because I feel like nobody's acknowledging my heartbreak. And she was like, all right, well, what can we do for you? And I was like, I just want it to be held. And so that Tawny was mentioning the physical touch.
Yeah.
And what her and our other friend did was they put me on the ground. And this is something I do with the women in my Bali retreat. So it was awesome to receive it. They put me on the ground, put their hands on me, and I started bawling, like hysterically and releasing. And
that's a big
talk
one.
about sisterhood.
Yeah,
right?
talk about sisterhood. I mean, and that's such a wonderful way to honor you. And we do. It's like sometimes the pressure. I don't know how many times I've been like, whatever the situation that feels like really heavy inside or a lot of energy, where I've asked Trevor to just like lay down on me and squish me. I'm like,
Trevor's her husband.
Trevor is so great like that, and it's great. That's like where hugs come in, and that's where that that physical touch feels so good.
So good,
right? It's like. Sometimes it's like a great way to just for feeling like that. Sometimes a physical exercise is just to really just squeeze that. Can I feel the sensation like move through your body? What does Maria have to say?
Okay, well, let's Holly first. I want to the question I asked her a while ago. Thanks for answering, Holly. She says, abandoning myself is what I did when I would consider myself wrong or bad or feel deep loathing or hate. Yeah, I can definitely relate to that one. Thank you for sharing, Holly. Do you want to read Maria's?
My wife and my mom died 1 month apart. People were around me for several weeks. Then they went back to their lives. Someone brought me gluten-free pie. I was alone and hungry. I ate pie and bacon. It was the first time in weeks I could taste something. I ate bacon with the pie, my new comfort food.
Yeah.
Maria, thanks for sharing that very vulnerable post. And yeah, like our senses will, we'll numb ourselves out. And it's so beautiful that like you opened yourself to that pleasure of that, that taste. And what a beautiful way to acknowledge the love you felt too. And, I
was going to say there's this dance, right, between the shame that we might feel when we are indulging in certain foods that help us feel good when we're going through pain, and then giving yourself just you fucking need.
Totally.
Like, what are your thoughts around that?
That's so, I love that you asked, because there's actually part of my gift includes
this perfect.
I know there is a little segment on this in my gift, and my thoughts are eat it, have it, but there's a certain way to do it. And so I'm going to show you'll get to, if you click on
so you get to find that out
actually, because it's a big thing. Women often either they indulge in food, or they don't indulge in food.
Right. They hold themselves back,
either from guilt.
Yeah.
And there's like two types of women who, or both. Sometimes I know when I'm feeling like heartbroken, the first thing I want to do is like, I'm just going to go and eat those chips.
Yeah.
And without much thought. So switching that around.
And I think noticing this is, I'm not sure what Lucia's tip is for you. I'm sure it's way better than what is coming to mind right now. But I would say just like even noticing, now I lost my train of thought. Interesting. I'm going to make that totally right. It wasn't important. You're just supposed to hear what Lucia has to say. So I want to know, you guys, do you have any questions, any ahas yet? Like anything coming to the surface that you're like, that really resonates with me. We'd love to hear. So please chime in. Do you have something that's coming to mind?
Yeah. Coming to mind. Coming.
Okay, so here's where I want to go with this one.
Well, we can touch on this because
here's where I want to go. Here's my question. Okay, so I do want to go into the self-pleasure piece.
Okay.
When you are heartbroken and you are, let me speak for myself. Back during my times when I have been heartbroken, I've just felt completely shut down sexually. Like not even. Like I don't even want to touch myself at all.
Right.
And yet, my first coach that I worked with, Christina Marassi, you know her. She, during this most recent heartbreak a year and a half ago, she suggested, she's like, you just need to go and self-pleasure yourself. And I'm like, no, like I'm like super grumpy about it. I'm like, no, thanks. And I finally did it. Oh, wow. This is the first time I'm actually talking directly about a story and self-pleasure for myself.
I have that effect on women.
I've interviewed other people before around this, but I've never said me. Okay, so here's what happened. So I went and just did it anyways, because she was my coach, and I trust my coaches, and I hired them for a reason. I went and did it anyways, and I noticed that when I just allowed it to be what it was, allowed whatever sensations to come, noticed the numbness, the like non-feeling. When I finally experienced the sensation, and when I was done, I released and I just bawled, and it felt so good. Like it helped. Yeah. It helped me get in touch with even deeper sadness. So I'd love for you to speak to this part, because what I got is that, like, obviously our womb and our sensuality and the chakra and our, vagina, clit, all this area.
It is
like, talk to me about how it's connected and what,
well, it's definitely, first of all, it is your divine birthright just to feel pleasure, because your clitoris, the only function of the clitoris is to feel pleasure. You have 8,000 nerve endings in a very concentrated spot, and nerve endings go somewhere. And they go through your body. And so when you're feeling emotions, it's like all of your emotions are travel through your nervous system. You feel all of like the different endorphins, the cortisol, everything that travels through your body is really done through your nervous system. So oftentimes, when we find that disconnect, it will usually happen right here. So everything up here you'll feel because you're stuck in your head, right? So you're here. You're not in the back part of your brain. You're all in the front part of your brain, the frontal lobe, thinking. And so that causes that complete disconnect. It hasn't gone away. Right. It's there. It's just got, it's atrophied. So, and yes, self-pleasure is a definitely, I think, I love to masturbate. And I think it is, if you don't necessarily use it as a tool to get out of something, even like to really just think of it as self-care, just call that self-care and not necessarily attach a goal to it. And it doesn't even have to start with your clitoris, because really pleasure and orgasm really start with your brain. So with your mind, your conceptual thoughts. So you can just start thinking about, close your eyes and think of one good thing, so that your universe can really start to actually support your circumstance. So if you're thinking, I want to feel sensation in my genitals, say that over and over. I love cake. I love cake. whatever like brings
I love wine.
Brings those good feelings. Self-pleasure, the actual act of masturbation is beautiful. I encourage women to use it really as a tool for self-love, and to really open up all those channels. And you don't necessarily have to make it a goal to have that over the top orgasm over that little edge, because it's like females, women, we orgasm differently. We have that those peaks and those nooks and those crannies, and depending on how we're masturbating. So really go with it. Go with what feels good, rather than trying to use it as the way out, or using it as the way through. Yes, it's a wonderful. That's a kind of a byproduct. Okay, masturbate for pleasure's sake. Touch your clitoris for pleasure's sake.
I think the only thing about that though, for me, is I had no interest in being like, oh, I want to feel pleasure right now. Do you know what I mean? Right. Like I was in that place of like, it was a release for me. Like that's what I wanted most.
You want,
and I couldn't even go there.
Well,
like you were saying, I was so stuck.
Yes, when you do that release part, like that over the top orgasm, that release of it really brings blood flow to your genitals, so everything becomes really clear in that moment. So I can totally see what how that goes. We can't even, sometimes we can't even think, okay, when we're heartbroken, that we even want to touch our genitals.
No, so I didn't even want to, and then I started, and I was like, okay, no judgment, it can be what it is.
It can be it can really be whatever it is. And if it becomes the tool that moves you through, wonderful. I always say, do it because you want to, and because you
this is
want
important,
it,
not because you should.
Yeah, not because you should. So if it's somebody can say, you should just go masturbate, Jess. That'll make it all better. It's like, fuck you.
Yeah. Well,
right?
that's what I said at first. That's what I said at first when my coach was like, go do that. I was like, no thanks.
Well, you can start really. I mean, because sensuality touches all parts of our lives. I mean. You can
Lucia's over here touching her leg, by the way.
You can just start
touching.
I'm very sensory.
Yeah.
Start putting your attention on other things, like put attention on your universe. Like go outside and notice what's around you. Slow down, actually, and that starts to bring out those good feelings.
This is so important, because I think there's two ways of dealing with grief. Stereotypically, right? There's speed up and oh my God, this is very common for women to say to each other, just keep yourself busy. Oh God, I love my mom, and me and her have had lots of conversations about the mother wound. And it's been beautiful conversations that my mom has even started to bring up with me now that I've talked about this. But one thing that we acknowledge, actually both of us have experienced with me with my mom and her with her mom, is this whole just keep yourself productive, keep yourself busy.
My mom has that thing too. She's like, oh, I just keep myself busy, so I don't have to deal with anything. I'm like,
I'm curious if any of you have ever heard this.
Have you ever heard that?
In heartbreak and pain, it's just stay busy, you'll get
through it. There's a couple reasons for that, because there's a lot of energy in our body, and so you can be really slow and then let fester in the feeling. And so people are like, I'll just keep busy, so I don't actually confront it. And that's one way to expend the energy. I encourage you, if that's the route you're going to take, is to call that good and do things that are deliberately, instead of just keeping busy. If you want to do something, do it because you want to do it. Yeah. If you're going to take away that keep busy title, and instead replace it with, I'm going to do things that make that are pleasurable, like go for a run, go jogging, go to yoga, go for a walk, meditate.
I think
clean the house is good. All those things are actually, they're not, we don't have to look at them as busy work. We can actually look at them as a lot of fun, just depending on like, how can we do something pleasurably?
Yeah, okay, I love this because I think here's what I think is the key.
Yeah.
Do whatever you feel like you should do the opposite.
Oh.
This is my philosophy because when I feel what I used to do when I was heartbroken is I felt like I should keep myself busy, but what I really deeply desired was to just freaking sit around and cry.
Right.
And that was my process. So I say, ask yourself, whatever you feel like you should be doing, why do you feel like you should be doing that? And is it out of expectations from, society, your mother, your friends, or is it truly what you deeply desire as your healing process? For me, my healing process is swamping, as Mama Gina calls it. If you guys have ever followed Mama Gina, the swamping, she just says like, be in the shit, like sit around. I think she even says like with a garbage bag on. Like I don't go that far.
I've
say that?
I think
garbage bag.
She
That's
does
in my mind for some reason.
Yeah, she does this this garbage bag thing.
That's probably the swamping. Okay, and so for me, that is my healing process. And then I also have gotten to a place, thank goodness, with all these tools that I've developed over the years where I can now bring myself out of it very quickly when I'm ready. What's tricky is you've got to have the support, I think.
You do, I agree.
When you're first starting out in the this dance between staying super busy and swamping or just being in the funk of it all, like Lucia was saying.
You have to have, I really think another person to be the tools. The tools are key. And I think there was a point in my life I did not have the tools. So I was in a constant battle with myself. I was constantly victimized over a situation, always victimized over that happened to me, that me, poor me. And it was like, because I didn't know, nobody ever taught us, or we weren't trained necessarily to be better communicators or better sexers. I mean, we didn't come with a manual, If you're going to feel it good, feel it all out. And you don't have to stay in it. Just remember that, you get a choice at some point, to call that good and call the sensation good. If you're crying, call it good. If you need to slow down, call it good.
And give yourself, here's one thing that's really, really helped me. And let's get to these.
Totally guilty here.
Holly, staying busy is how I survive. Are you kidding me? Totally guilty.
Yeah.
We love you, Holly.
Yeah, we love you. We love you,
Permission to be in the funk. Danielle, oh yes. What are you saying oh yes to, Danielle? I'd love to hear. And Maria says, I'm thinking of dancing with light and darkness. It is a way of moving through grief and experiencing pleasure without judgment. Yes. Beautiful.
Sure.
Maria says, I have learned to be intentional about being busy. I'm choosing about what I do, keeping busy. I balance with slow down time.
Yeah. That deliberate choice is that's it. That's key. I think Maria's touched on something very important, is when you are deliberate with whatever you do, whether you choose to speed up and use some of that, energy to get shit done like Holly does, or slow down and get shit done with, your self-care, your self-time. It's all good. It all works in different ways. I think the key here is making that deliberate choice. And if you can't do anything else because you're so feeling that intensity in your body, you can just do one thing and make a deliberate choice to feel it. And that, just make a deliberate choice to feel it.
And so here's something beautiful. Thank you for saying that. Here's one thing that I think is an epidemic for women, is not giving ourselves permission to feel how we want to feel and show up with those emotions. So here's what I mean. An example, just yesterday, I was, feeling very heartbroken about my friend, and I had a group coaching call, a part of a program that I signed up for. And I was like, I am not feeling like myself. I don't want to join this call.
Mm.
I know I'm going to cry. Like I could feel it. It was at the surface. And then I sat with it and I said, okay, do you really not want to join this call, or are you just afraid of being judged for being sad? Are you feeling like you need to put on a happy face?
Right.
This has been my healing, right? And so how I have learned to process myself to talk to myself during these kinds of emotions over the years is to say, Jess, what do you really want to do right now? And I was like, I want to be on that call. And then I gave myself permission to just show up however I was.
Yeah.
And you know what? I cried immediately and they loved me through it. They were like, thank you so much. And then other people started like,
how did you ultimately make that decision? Like just to do that? What did you hear? What did you listen to?
It's all about getting clear on like, well, what is my fear? Like, why am I not wanting to show up in this state that I'm in?
Mm-hmm.
And so I asked myself that, and I was like, okay, this is a new group. It was the first group coaching call.
Right.
And I was afraid that they were going to think I was this weak, not a leader, that like I'm this big crybaby, blah, 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 all these stories. Right. And then I reminded myself, so that it's two parts, right? It's like getting clear on the fear, and then also showing yourself proof why that is probably not true.
Mm-hmm.
And I reminded myself of all the times I showed up with vulnerability and cried at my own women's group.
Right.
And they loved me for it because I'm real and I don't hold back and I'm raw. And so then that like gave me this beautiful opening to just show up as you are. That's really my...
Yeah, definitely. It's like you are enough and you're not too much. And so I think these are the real key points as women. It's like, feeling the emotion, if they're screaming or crying or those sensations, that's one way to go about it too. And that's good that you just call it good and, have fun with it. I always look at it, okay, how can if I'm going to freaking scream and cry over something, how can I really have fun with it then? Well, ultimately now it's like, it's not default, but what I choose to do instead is I do like to slow down and I do like to get, masturbate and produce those good feelings in my body and like move them. And that's through years of training. So I have my own way now, but I totally honor those places that we have to go to. And it's like, there are times like I go there still and it's okay. It's like, I allow myself to feel that. And I really believe that your body never lies. So really listen to it. And I know women are like, we have our gauge. You know what it is, right? What's your gauge? What's your, it's like,
Lucia wants to know what's your gauge?
What do you mean by that? What is your gauge? Like when you listen to your body, what's the part of your body that you listen to that says, yeah, I should do this? Or
what part of your body? That would be fun to hear from you all. What part of your body is your gauge for what? Your gauge for
making a choice. Like when, say for example, should I go on a date with this guy or not? Do you listen to your head? Do you listen to your heart?
This might not be the best advice right now if you're heartbroken.
Well, no. This is actually very good advice if you're heartbroken. Because when you're heartbroken, you do want to listen to your body. You don't want to. You do want to listen to your body. You do.
But what's the guy to date? That's the last thing on my mind when I'm heartbroken.
Yeah.
So I'm curious.
Well, okay, so
this is good. Yeah.
So you have this relationship with this man, and at some level, listen to your body. You can just ask the same question. What did I get out of this relationship, or what was the good part out of this relationship? What can I take with this? Listen to your body and that. It's like there's just different questions that you can ask yourself. And
I like to. Do you want to know my questions?
Yeah.
And then I know we're running down on time,
sure.
So make sure to stay here. We've got the gift, and then we also I can hang out for a few minutes if people have questions.
Yeah, I can totally hang out.
Okay, so stay with us. I just wanted to share that my question is, why did this happen for me instead of to me? So many times it's like, why did this happen to me?
Great.
This heartbreak, this.
Yeah.
And I actually learned that from Mastin Kipp. Do you guys know Mastin Kipp?
I don't know.
Okay, he was a creator of the Daily Love. I don't think he has the Daily Love anymore, but I went to an event that he held in Las Vegas.
Yeah, like, what's the gift in that?
Yeah, and I was actually going through heartbreak at the time. I've been through many heartbreaks, which is why I like to support women through the heartbreak, because I'm an expert at it.
I love that, that you're that person.
Yeah, so I went to his event and I was just bawling, you know, he's like having us all close our eyes and he says, instead of saying, why did this happen to me? Ask, why did this happen for me? And I was like, like it was.
And listen to your body in that, because your body never lies in that. Like whatever the question it is, my gauge is really like, you know, how do I feel the energy moving in my genitals, in my, you know, my womb, my divine, it's like that divine birthright of yours to like really feel and listen to that. And instead of like the chatter, we call it the chatter. That's where you get the chatter. Oh my God.
Yeah. Not as much as I used to.
Yeah. So the chatter is like our emotions, like just making shit up, right? It's like, it's not really how we feel, but our bodies really are the manifestation of what we're really feeling. So if there's good feelings there, even in the face of heartbreak, and you're feeling the goodness, that like the heat in your chest and you know, the softness of your skin, it's like, take that one part of, you know, yumminess, even through the grief and the sadness, and like use it for yourself to like have more, even if more means one more blanket under the covers, even if more means, you know, one more yummy piece of chocolate, eat it slow, or it's like all those parts. It's like be tender to yourself. And
this is so good.
Yeah.
I want to read what Lucia has. Maria says, Lucia has been helping me through the time as we work on a photography project to witness my transformation through this life-shattering experience. I am so much more in tune with self-care. Sometimes I just fall out of a few days. No guilt. I just come back when I'm ready.
Awesome.
Beautiful.
Good. Yeah. Never.
And
no guilt at all.
No. And Danielle says, I feel all those things in my chest when I ask the question, dishes or TV. I tune into my chest and see what the answer is. Beautiful.
Beautiful, Danielle.
That's something that I had to let go of, because my maternal side of the family is a farm family. So we're workers, right? And I remember the time, I can specifically remember the mindset shift of I have to get up and do those dishes to it's not the most important thing right now.
Oh yeah.
Whew, big time.
I have left a lot of dishes unwashed.
Okay, I am going to pull up our beautiful gift from Lucia.
Aww.
Do you want to talk about this?
Sure.
Talk about your gift.
I was so touched when Jessica put this out there. I wanted to really be part of it. You know, sensuality touches all parts of our lives, and I decided to have my gift be around that. So it's called Surrender to Self-Love, 7 days of sensual connection. And so I made a 7-day video series. It was so fun. I remember thinking, this is like, what can I share? And it's really all the tools that I use in my own daily life to like have more pleasure, but definitely the tools I use anytime I felt like that grief or sadness, or the places that, you know, that we go to, that it can be used to move through. So you can use them now exactly where you're at, because you're perfect just where you are right now. And you know, perfection to me means progress and change throughout our whole lives. So it's like utilizing this gift for yourself to have more, the next fun thing. And so staying present, I take you through 7 days, get a video every day in your inbox when you click on it. Fun. And it was a lot of fun making it and coming up with it, and different ways to like really connect to your sensuality, and sensuality being all parts of your body, your sight, sound, taste, touch, conceptual thought, smell.
Beautiful.
All those good things.
So doesn't this sound amazing, you guys? Lucia has really put together something so generous, so special. So if you want to really dive deeper into how you can surrender to self-love, connect to your sensuality, really experience more pleasure in your life, make sure to click on that link. It should be on your screen. And what is going to happen is you're going to be taken to a page for the Holiday Heartbreak Survival Kit. So Lucia is part of these. I think we've got 18 total experts now. I say 15 plus, but there's 18. I didn't know how many.
There's so many. So, it's so fun. Like, I cannot wait to actually go through. You know, we're beautiful coaches and teachers, but I love, this is talk about great community. I just love, expanding what's possible in my own life. So these little juicy tidbits that all of us have to offer, it's kind of an interwoven beautiful web of support for you. We are here to support you through the holidays and beyond. And I'm so grateful, Jess, that I love you so much. Thank you so much for being able to get this off. I love you. You can't resist the good shit when it's coming right. You're like, I just want to melt into your graciousness. So thank you.
Biggest wish, you're welcome. Our biggest wish for you is that you download this Holiday Heartbreak Survival Kit, that you scroll down and find Lucia's face, that you click on Get the Gift, and you'll be taken to her website where you can sign up to get this 7-day series to surrender to self-love. Beautiful, beautiful. Of course, take advantage of all the other gifts on there. I encourage you to download them all.
And there's some great, beautiful, beautiful people.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so glad. Maria says this webinar has been excellent. Chani says this has been amazing, ladies. Thank you so much. So we have a few more minutes. If you have any questions, we would love to be here and answer them. And then I also want to mention that part of this whole webinar series, this was survival secret number 1, Awaken Your Sensuality. Tonight, we actually have Chani Jacobson, who is, she's here on the chat with us. I'm going to be interviewing her tonight around how to activate your heart. So it's survival secret number 2 to get through these holidays.
Get on that.
Yeah, and that is fun. You can find that link. That's happening at 6 p.m. Pacific time. So we would love to have you live. Make sure to check your, I think there's 2 emails that I put these links for all the webinars in. The first confirmation email that you got, so you can go back and find that for Lucia's interview. If you go to that first email when you signed up, and the replay, you'll get a replay of this video that we're doing right now. There's going to be a link that you can join all the other webinars as well. So make sure to click on whichever ones you want to join. So.
Do all of them. Why not?
Do them all. Yeah, sign up. And if for some reason you can't make it live, you will get the replay if you sign up. I always encourage people to join live because it's really powerful when you make the choice to surrender to self-love and dedicate time to yourself. Sacred time is very important. Something really special happens when you make a choice to show up.
I agree.
Yeah. Yay. Well, it doesn't look like we have any questions, so I just really want to thank you.
Do you have any questions for me, Jessica?
I've got so many questions. We can keep talking. We can keep talking. I would say my last question for you is, if there's one takeaway that you would hope that women received, and I'd love to hear your takeaways as well if you got any takeaways and you don't have questions, but if there's one takeaway that you'd like these women to walk away with as this tool to heal their heart during this holiday season, what would you say?
Well, loving ourselves really is the biggest gift we can give ourselves. And we can say that, if we are able to love ourselves, I love myself for being sad. I love myself for crying. I love myself for throwing that plate. I love myself for self-pleasuring myself. I love myself. If we can love ourselves for all those parts, and that is self-love, like letting that part in. So that is the key, I think, to moving through rather than skirting or pushing away for another day. A lot of people eventually sometimes have to go through therapies and all these things to heal something that they never confronted when it was happening.
Yeah,
And
so
so,
true.
self-love is the quickest way to feel it and own it and have it all. Have all the experience that you can from it, and move into the next fun thing. And that there's support for you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Welcome.
It's beautiful. I just realized I didn't provide the actual link, because if you're watching this and for some reason you found the YouTube video, the link to download the guide is bit.ly/heart holiday. And then how can people stay in touch with you?
Oh, that's a great question. Well, you can go visit my website at www.lusciouslovelife.us. You can find me on Facebook. Trevor and I are Luscious Love Life on Facebook. And stay connected that way. We also, if you're local in Santa Cruz, California, we have a meetup group called Jumpstart Santa Cruz. And if you check on there, generally 2 to 3 times a month, we host a night of communication games, and that's always a lot of fun. But we'll be putting up courses coming up this January and February, coming up pretty soon. We're going to take a couple weeks downtime, but not too much downtime. We have holidays and family, but a lot of good things coming up. So Luscious Love Life, us, and love, just want to say, is an acronym for lighted, orgasmic, validated, evolving life. So all the juicy parts
Good.
that are part of my life. I love you.
So we love you all.
I love you
Thank you so much for joining us. Mwah, mwah. Sending you so much love and just peace.
It's been so fun.
Yeah, so much
webinars.
fun.
Heck yeah, webinars.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you again.
Have fun.